Hi everyone, and welcome to in principle it will be a three-part series review on the Smabat Proto. Before we get started, however, I want to just clarify a few things here. Number one, all the products that you see me reviewing, all the products that you see me talking about, I am in no way endorsed or sponsored or anything by any of those companies. I pay for everything. Everything is bought by my own money, and I thus try to give my most sincere and honest opinion. If that is to the liking of those particular companies or not, well, that's just their problem. I'm not here to create people that like me or not like me. I want to be as honest as possible because I myself was many times lured and kind of taken into this whole thing of, oh no, this is really good, and when I tried it out I was dissatisfied or disappointed. So when I decided to start with this channel, my main objective was to be as sincere and as honest as possible with regards to all the products that I talk about. Obviously, they are always based on my perception of what I think about them, or how I like them, with the music that I like listening to. But above all, I always try to be transparent. So I'm not gonna say I like something just because it's a popular brand or something, or I don't like. No, if I like it, I like it, and that's it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. Period. And I will be very blunt with how I say those things. Sometimes maybe I'm not the most gifted of people with regards to the use of words, but I try not to be offensive at least. And like I said, I want to be honest. That's the first thing. The second thing that I wanted to talk about as well is, it is normal, I believe that it is normal, that there will be sometimes certain bias towards one or two products that I talk about. And it's as simple as this. I'm human, first of all. And secondly, they are just products that I like. I mean, those of you that have been following me for a while, you know that I like the HD Sound Heart Mirror. I like it. It's a really nice earphone. And with a little bit of mods and a little bit of tinkering around, it can be made to become pretty spectacular. That's the truth. So obviously I like it, and sometimes when I do compare that one with other stuff, or when I do certain comparisons, some of you might sense a certain bias towards this or that, but it's not with the intention of anything other than I just like those products. Okay. With that out of the way, let's talk about the Smabat. And I just want to start this part one by saying one thing. This is awesome. Spectacular. Seriously. I've been waiting so long, but so long, for someone out there to actually come up with something like this. And, you know, it is really spectacular. The idea behind this concept is spot on. And for all of you out there which are DIYers and enjoy playing around and so on and so forth, this is a must-have product. Seriously, this is a must-have product. I will say, however, that if you don't like playing around, if you do not like tinkering and have no, maybe you do, but you just don't have the skills, then forget this. Forget it. But if you do like playing around with your IEMs, if you do like tinkering, and I know a lot of you do, if you do like playing with the filters and changing the tips and changing the vent nozzles and this is the product for you. And I really want to give excuse me, I really want to give my congratulations to Smabat for having given us this, because this has been a long time coming, and I honestly, I just want you guys to really try it. And yes, if this sounds like hype, if it's hype, then I don't care. This is spectacular. When I first got it, I listened to it in the standard format, and today I went through the 3 different drivers that I have. So in standard format, it comes with a titanium driver. You then have a biological fiber option of a driver. You have a beryllium coated driver, and you have an LCP, liquid crystal polymer driver, that are also available. I got all of them except for the fiber one, but I will be getting that one, and I will then be adding on to the review in the subsequent parts that I'm going to be doing. Second, yeah. Oh, come on. So that's going to come out. There we go. Okay. As for what this is all about and what this isn't all about, well, let me say it like this. In its standard format, okay, and in standard format it brings, see if I can actually kind of show you. Okay, this is basically it in its standard format. Okay, so in standard format it brings no filter on the nozzle. As you can see, there's no filter. There's a mesh on the inside that you can see it when you actually open up to swap out the driver, and it brings this gold filter. This gold filter is the default filter. Everything is kind of balanced out in terms of the frequency response. There's no gains, no diminishing of any parts of the frequencies or anything. Okay, that's the standard option that it comes. Okay, it brings these tips which are, you know, perfect. I mean, they're more than good enough. Just trying to get this filter out here. There we go. Okay, put it in its place so then we can explain better. Okay, we then have those filters over there. Okay, we have a silver one on the right hand side, we have a red one center, and a blue one on the left. The blue one will affect the frequencies from 1K to about 15K by bringing them down around 7 dBs. I've graphed it and I can confirm this. Actually, it even brings it down a little bit more than that. Okay, so that is a filter. The blue one there is a filter that you will put on the actual, on the actual nozzle here. Focus on the actual nozzle. Okay, you'll put it on the nozzle. All right. Like I said, I tried it out with that filter with all the drivers that I have in the various configurations, and I'll get into that in a second. And ultimately, for my personal taste, I actually left it out. That's how I like to listen to any one of the drivers more in the Smabat. Okay, we then have those other filters there, which you can see. This is the golden. Let me just try and see if I could focus this a little bit more for you guys. There we go. Okay, so we then have those filters there, the gold one, as you can see. Okay, there, and the other ones over there, the silver and the red. The silver will cut by about 6 dBs the frequencies from 20 Hertz to about 1K, and subsequently giving it a more cold, a more thin sound in the bass. Okay, the red filters, they do the opposite. They increase by about 6 dBs the frequency from 20 to 1 kilohertz, making the sound warmer. Having said that, it is more than just 6 dBs that is cut. Let me get that out of the way, and gained. And the other thing is that it also affects slightly the higher frequencies as well. So the above 1 kilohertz is also affected by these filters, although not as significant as obviously the 20 to 1 kilohertz, the 20 hertz to 1 kilohertz. All right. The drivers available, as I mentioned, are, let me actually just bring this down a little bit more. Yes, okay. So the drivers available are the standard titanium driver, which I listened to it initially. Inside here now, I've actually got the Beryllium driver, which is this one. Okay, I've got this driver on there. All right, focus. We're gonna focus today. Yes, focus. Okay, more or less. Beryllium driver. It's a 32 ohm driver. And the frequency response that I got is more or less what is here represented in the graph. Obviously, there's differences because of couplers being used by the factory and the coupler that I used, which is 711, but it's basically this. So it's a more kind of balanced out tuning. The LCP driver over here, again, that's a 22 ohm driver. And as you can see, the frequencies above, let's say 2K, are boosted, so it's a brighter sounding IEM. The titanium is more of a V-shaped kind of signature, and the fiber one as well, from the indications that I got from Smabat, is also kind of a V-shaped overall kind of type of signature. Now, why am I hyping this, or why am I speaking so highly of this? Simple, really simple. Not only is the construction top notch, so in terms of construction, we're getting a proper metal shell, well built. The little details that have been put into this for this to actually work and function properly are second to none. I mean, really second to none. There's Smabat is teaching us a few things, and he's teaching us other brands a few things. But the main reason why this is really spectacular is because with one single pair of earphones, okay, and by buying maybe 2 drivers extra, not even the 3, you can just buy 2 other drivers. You can buy, maybe like I did, the Beryllium and the LCP. You can have a sea of options in terms of what type of sound you want. Yeah, and you can go from a really pronounced V signature to a more Harman style tuned to even more of a diffuse field. I mean, with a little bit of work, and by work I mean with a little bit of thinking around and playing with the filters and so on and so forth, I would almost dare say that you could get this thing to sound like an Etymotic. Okay? Because that's how versatile this kit, this product is. All right. With each driver, the amount of possible configurations is 6, and if you now multiply that by 4 drivers, you have 24 options of different styles of sound and well, basically you have 24 earphones in one. Period. That's what I'm gonna say. Okay. So you can use. I mean, it's kind of the sky's the limit. As long as you have a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, and you play around with the filters, and you see what you can do, it's almost limitless. Because besides playing with what I've just mentioned, and if you then really are a hardcore DIY, you can still further enhance or the performance by playing a little bit more with the earphone and with the shell and what it offers you. And honestly, I couldn't be happier. I really could not be happier. Out of the configurations that I've tried with the drivers that I have, 4 configurations in particular stand out for me. All of them, as I mentioned, are not using the filter on the actual vent, so there's no vent filter. And they basically stick with the gold, which is the default filter, with the gold or with the red. Why? Because the silver, for me personally, it just makes it sound too thin with any of the drivers, way too thin, and especially with the LCP driver, it is really, really thin. I'm guessing it will be very nice if you want a absolutely neutral signature, and that's what you like, that's the type of sound that you like. So if we're going towards, let's say, kind of an Etymotic style of sound, you could probably achieve it, like as I said, and that would be definitely the filter to use, the silver one. The red is a more bass friendly filter. So as I mentioned, there are 4 configurations that I really enjoyed, which was with the titanium driver, no nozzle filter, and the gold on the actual shell. So titanium driver, no nozzle filter, and gold default filter on the shell. It's amazing. It's really a nice sound, which is the default sound that it brings. It sounds very balanced out. It's a mild V. Honestly, I'm not even going to get too much into technicalities because it is so vast that I would spend hours here talking about technicalities. All I'm going to say is that in that configuration, it sounds really nice. I didn't find any sibilance of sorts. I didn't find that there was anything lacking. It's a nice setup, the standard one. Maybe a little bit the vocals could be or can sometimes be overly warm, if that's the real kind of only real thing I can point out. Then with the LCP driver, okay, and again with no nozzle filter, but with the red vent filter, and that is to actually, although the red filter is to make the bass really come up a lot, with the LCP driver, it comes up to basically default level using the standard driver. And with that configuration, okay, with the red filter on the vent and the no filter on the nozzle, using the LCP driver, you get more or less the same signature as standard, just a more pronounced and more energetic 2, 3, 4, 5K. So if you're wanting your vocals, your female vocals, to sound more forward, if you want the, perfect. What I did notice was with that configuration as well, the detail retrieval, and again I'm saying I don't want to get too much into the technicalities. I found the detail retrieval to be slightly better. And then the other two options were both with the Beryllium driver. And with the Beryllium driver, the first thing that you notice immediately is that the bass is very quick. The bass is really quick. It's fast, it's quick, it's impactful. If with the other two drivers you found that there was a slight mid-bass emphasis, with the Beryllium driver, if you're using the gold vent filter, yes, there is a slight mid-bass tendency, but not as pronounced as with the other drivers. But there's a roll-off from about 40-50 hertz on down, and in that configuration, so with the gold filter, no nozzle filter, and with the Beryllium driver, the type of sound that you get is, and I want to leave the comparisons for a second part, but just for you guys to have an idea, the type of sound that you get is a kind of a melee, melee sound, just a little bit brighter. You get a sound similar, besides the melee, you get a sound similar to the EDX Pro with just a tad less bass. That's the kind of sound that you're getting. All right, just giving you two options there. With the Beryllium driver, again, no nozzle filter, but with the red filter on the vent there, okay, it becomes a warmer kind of melee signature. And I'm using the melee because some of you have got the melee, and the melee has been talked about a lot, so I'm kind of using that as a comparison to be easier for you guys to understand. So with that kind of configuration, the sound is a warmer melee. Again, the biggest difference being that you have a bit more treble. The only thing here that I found a little bit fatiguing in that configuration was that sometimes it gets just a little bit, it just doesn't get fatiguing is not the word. Let me go back a little bit. What I sometimes found in that configuration is that the tonality is not right, because that excess or that extra bass that you are getting is just too much. It's nice, but it just makes things too full, too warm. So male vocals can sound, if it's a warm male vocal, he will sound overly warm. If it's a female vocal that is not warm, she will sound warm. So tonality loses out there slightly. But funny enough, the Beryllium driver is, in my opinion, the one that I enjoyed the most. I absolutely enjoyed the way that it worked and the way that it played. And like I said, I'll be doing at least 3 parts for this review because I think it's worth it. It's an absolutely amazing product that deserves to get more attention from all of us. And Smabat, again, I mean, congratulations, seriously. I'm dying to see if they will continue improving the drivers available, which I hope they will do, because if they can actually offer more drivers with better quality, I mean, what you can do with this is almost endless. The shell itself also accepts drivers which are slightly bigger, can go up to about 12 millimeters, although any one of these drivers is 10. And the way that it's actually been done inside, there's a, so when you actually open up, take away the back plate, let me just show you. So when you just, okay, so that's how easy it is, okay? Right, so the driver inside, the way that it seals is there's a rubber kind of boot that sits on the outside of the driver, okay? And that's how it seals. If there's one, not a criticism, but if there's one thing that I would like to actually see slightly improved, is that boot made a little bit taller in terms of its overall height. I found that some drivers, the titanium and the LCP, because of their actual physical size, their thickness, it fits nicely. Okay, so this is, for example, the standard one, the titanium one. Okay, there we go. Let me just, okay, all right, try to focus this thing, but it's not easy. All right, so that's the standard titanium driver there, and the thickness that you see here, so this thickness here of the driver, this thickness here is more pronounced than on the beryllium, and being more pronounced, it actually grabs on slightly better than with the beryllium driver, which is a little bit less pronounced, and it has a kind of it's just less pronounced, and it basically doesn't hold as well. So it would have to be slightly thicker, that rubber gourmet or whatever you want to call it, boot or something, just so that it would allow for it to sit nicer. But overall, like I say, no criticisms in terms of construction. It's absolutely flawless. These filters, they all have like a small O-ring to seal them up when you actually put them into place. Let me see if I can get one out here. There we go. Got one. Now let me see if I can actually show it to you in a way that you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. See, we're gonna zoom. There we go. You see, it's got that little O-ring over there to seal it up. I mean, it's these attention to details that I admire, and that I say to myself, well, if Smabat can do it, then why don't others do it? Come on, people. I mean, if Smabat can make a product at this price, which is roughly, so the actual Proto in standard format costs about $85, and then the additional drivers, they cost anywhere between 15 to 20 odd. I'm not sure if there was going to be any discounts now for 11.11, but it's a question of just looking and checking it out. So if Smabat can offer a product which you can say to yourself, oh, but $80, it's like a price of an Aria. Okay, fine, granted, yes, it is the price of an Aria. But an Aria, you're stuck with that Aria and that's it. With this thing, if you have a little bit of time, you can make it sound exactly or almost exactly like an Aria one day, and the next day, if you're in the mood for something a little bit more savage, you can make it sound like a like a Venture Electronics, the BA Pro. So it's all, it's $80 or $90, fair enough, but hey, you got multiple earphones in the same thing, multiple. So if they can offer us a product like this, then it just makes it an obligation that the other brands, they offer us really, really good products. There's no justification for poor quality control. There isn't. I'm sorry, guys. I've reached a point where I just do not accept that as an excuse. Oh, because quality control is expensive and blah 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 blah. Guys, no way. No. There shouldn't be any quality control. It should be at a $50 IEM, or be it an IEM, like I've been hearing stories that there have been people with having issues with clairvoyances that are dying out a month after being used, and also even some moondrop variations, people having issues with those. Come on, you're paying $500, $600, $700 for an IEM and it dies out on you? I mean, come on, what is going on? Unacceptable. With this, at least you know that if you do have an IEM or a driver that dies out on you, you know what? You just buy a new one, you plonk it in there, and that's it. You buy yourself a $700 IEM that for some reason its driver dies out, and you know what? You just got yourself a very expensive keychain. That's what you have, because it's pointless if to try and get it fixed, well, at least properly. Very few people are capable, and it's going to be expensive. So you've just gone from having a $700 or $1,000 IEM to having a very, very expensive keychain. On here, this thing will never die. The drivers die out for some reason, yank them out, put a new one in. Done. Period. Carry on rocking. So that's it, guys. Seriously. I mean, I'm being dead serious. I absolutely gain nothing from this. Mark my words. I am gaining absolutely nothing except my desire to show you guys something that is spectacular and is deserving of our attention. This is a must. If you're really serious about earphones and DIY and playing around and looking for the ultimate sound, you have to get yourself a pair of Protos. Definitely. Once again, Smabat, well done. I mean, congratulations. Seriously, well done. Anyway, guys, look out for part 2 and part 3 soon. And I'll be talking to you again, well, soon. Take care. Bye-bye.